Hi everybody, it's Debbie from the Inspiration Station. Thank you for joining me again today. In today's video, I'll be doing a layout using a cut file and a sketch from Allison Davis. I'm taking her class over on Facebook. It's called 6x6 Paper Pads Pattern Play. And as usual, all of Allison's classes are always fantastic. But this one intrigued me because she was including cut files. So this is the week 4 cut file and sketch, and you can see I cut it out on my Cricut, and the paper collection that I'm using is actually a digital collection from Traci Reed Designs. I think it's an older collection, but she had a special on it recently. It's called Wildflower, and it is designed to be a not girly girl line, but because the color palette was so great, I absolutely love it. I bought it because I thought I can use this for anything, for my granddaughter or grandsons. And for this layout, I will be using a photo of one of my grandsons. So you can see here that I'm backing the file. I printed the 12 by 12 papers in a 2 by 2 size so that they fit behind the opening. And some of the items, like the one over to the right that says nothing but love for this, that is actually part of a traveler's notebook insert, I think is what she calls it. Traveler's notebook paper anyway, or signature. And I just cropped a square out of it, cropped the that saying out of it because I really wanted to include that on the page. So I did all that in Photoshop and then just printed them out. Now, I spent a lot of time moving things around, and I did edit this so that you don't have to watch all of that. So you'll see that I have extras up there at the top of the printed 2 by 2 squares, and I am going to use those to back the squares that have the 4 grid, the 4 squares to them. And at first I thought, well, they're about a 3/4 inch square, so I can use my 1-inch punch and just punch from those papers that I printed. And you'll see I got started doing that and then realized that that really wasn't a good idea. So I pulled out my 1-inch punch and I started to cut them. And then I realized after I punched 2, it was really too small to hold and put back in the punch. So I needed to use my trimmer to trim down the remaining 2. So I did that for a couple of tries, and then I realized, you know what, you're wasting your time. Just use the trimmer on the whole thing. And so I did go over to use the trimmer. But at first, I was putting the pieces behind those squares to get an idea of what it was going to actually look like. But everything kept shifting around and moving around. So, then I got a little smarter and decided I'll just lay them on top of the squares. And that way, I can still get an idea of how the pattern is coming out, but they're not going to shift around as much. So I started laying them out just very randomly. And as I went along, I realized, no, I can't do random. It was just way too much chaos for me. So I went back to the digital files and I printed out the solid papers that she had in the collection, and I printed those as 2 by 2 as well. So as I used those solid pieces to back those squares, that made me much happier. I don't know what it is about all the randomness. To me, it just confuses my brain, so I need to have a place for my eye to rest. So I found that the solids were much better. So as I put those together, you'll see sort of a pattern emerging. I decided to use the light yellow in the 4 corners. And I think I did the light blue in the top and the bottom. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So here I made a mess. I put too much glue on the back, and this is a mistake that is easy to make. On that little blue square, I had too much glue, and when I pressed it down, it smushed out. Now it does dry clear, but unfortunately, it left sort of a watermark look on that piece of paper. And you'll see later in the video how I fixed that. I actually just used an embellishment to cover it up. But okay, so we're getting to the point where this is finished being backed. And I really liked this light gray paper as my background. And it came from a paper pad, so it's super thin. I'm not sure what paper collection, because I kind of pull all my pads apart if they haven't been used in a while, and I have a separate category for wood grain. So this is really, really thin. So I decided to put it onto a regular cardstock. I think it's an 80-pound cardstock to back it. And I left just maybe a 1/4 inch border around the outside, which sort of framed it in. And I liked the way that looked. So I'm going to get that glued down, and then I'm going to bring in my cut file once I check the measurements, make sure that this is as close to centered as possible. And I glued the heck out of the back of this because there were so many pieces. I didn't want to take a chance that some of them wouldn't stick, that they'd be sticking up or whatever. So I used a lot more adhesive on the back than I normally would to glue it down. So we're going to set that down. I tried to get it as close to center as possible, and it's not too bad. I think I did all right. So now, what am I going to do? Oh, so now I brought in my photo, and that's one of my grandsons playing on one of the pieces of gym equipment. The title Stay Wild came from the digital collection, and what I did was I cut it on my Cricut. I did print and cut, but then I cut two more, maybe it was 3, I can't remember, out of just plain white cardstock, and then glued them together to make it more like a chipboard accent. And I really like how that came out. And you see I put those butterflies at the top. Now I normally probably would not have used the butterflies on this page, but I needed to cover up that glue mark that I made. And I kind of like the way they go outside the grid, so I decided they were good. You'll see that I'm now building the clusters around the title. And this collection is called Wildflower, and it does lean heavily on florals, but they're not girly florals, really. I mean, some of them are, but I stuck to the blues and then the foliage and built my cluster around that. And the really cute icon in this collection is those the sneakers. And so I ended up printing and cutting those on my Cricut in several different sizes. And I also flipped some of them horizontally. That's one of the beauties of digital collections, is you can resize and you can flip them if they're facing in the wrong direction. So I printed a bunch of different sizes and directions because I wanted options. I wasn't sure what was going to look best. So I finally got around to gluing my photo down, and now I'm putting all the embellishments on. And I don't think it's too girly. I mean, there's a lot of flowers there, but he's a little boy, and I think it's okay. I'm okay with it. I did put some of the things up on foam tape. You saw me put that heart on the left-hand side. That's another one of the digital elements that I did on print and cut. And I thought it was really cute to just fill in that wood grain square, which looked a little bit bare to me. So we'll get the title down and finish building the clusters. I spent a lot of time fooling around making those as usual, but I did try to edit out a lot of it so that you don't have to watch me go back and forth making a decision. While I'm finishing up building this cluster, now is a good time to remind you to hit that like button and leave me a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You know, it's one of the easiest things to do to support a content creator is to engage with the page, and it really helps YouTube to send out the content to other people who might be interested. So if you could do that, I truly appreciate it. I am going to finish up these clusters here, add a little bit more of the foliage in, and then off camera, I did go back and add some enamel dots. I have a notebook full of enamel dots, every color under the sun, I think. So it was after I'd taken the camera off and stopped recording that I decided to do that. Just checking to see if there were any other embellishments here that I might want to add. Oh, and then I did add the date onto one of these tags. I always test my stamp before I stamp it to make sure that the ink is properly on there and that it's going to fit in the space. So I stamped that tag and put it just underneath the grid. I really like going outside the grid. I think it softens the page a lot. So you'll see the foliage on the right went off the grid, the tag is off the grid, and that butterfly at the top is off the grid. Then I found these tiny little hearts that I had printed out from one of the sheets and decided I can put those in these little squares, tone on tone, and I really liked the way that looked. It was just a little something for a detail. So this is the page. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like and maybe leave me a comment. Let me know if you've done any hybrid scrapping. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again for joining me.